Tests for Group 1 lead ion. Lead is a chemical element with symbol Pb. It is found in lead pencils and lead acid batteries. Lead is found in many salts like lead nitrate and lead acetate as lead-2 ion. In Group 1, lead-2 ions are precipitated as their chlorides by adding dilute hydrochloric acid to their solutions. Our aim here is to test for the presence of Group 1 lead ion in a given salt. First, we look at the preliminary tests of lead ion. Dry heating test. Materials required: original salt, test tube holder, and Bunsen burner. Procedure: take a small quantity of salt in a test tube. Heat it over the Bunsen burner. The salt becomes brown when hot and yellow when cold, indicating the presence of lead ion. Charcoal cavity test. Materials required: mixture of salt and sodium carbonate, charcoal piece, distilled water, dropper, tongs, blowpipe, and Bunsen burner. Procedure: take a mixture of small quantity of salt and double its quantity of sodium carbonate in a watch glass. Take a charcoal piece with a small cavity in it. Using a spatula, take a small quantity of the mixture and place it in the cavity of the charcoal piece. Using a dropper, add few drops of distilled water to the mixture to moisten it. Using tongs, hold the charcoal piece in front of the reducing flame of the Bunsen burner. Now, direct the reducing flame on the cavity by means of the blowpipe and heat strongly for some time. A brown residue is obtained on heating and it becomes yellow on cooling, indicating the presence of lead-2 ion. Flame test. Materials required: original salt, concentrated hydrochloric acid, dropper, glass rod, platinum wire loop, and Bunsen burner. Procedure: take a small quantity of the salt in a watch glass. To this, add a few drops of concentrated hydrochloric acid using a dropper. Mix the content of the watch glass using a glass rod to make a paste. Take a small amount of the paste on the platinum wire loop and introduce it into the oxidizing flame of the Bunsen burner. Dull bluish white flame indicates the presence of lead-2 ion. Next, we look at the analysis of lead-2 ion present in Group 1. Materials required: salt solution in a test tube, dilute hydrochloric acid, distilled water, test tube holder, dropper, and Bunsen burner. Procedure: take a small quantity of dilute hydrochloric acid using a dropper. Add it into the test tube containing a small volume of salt solution. Lead-2 ions in the salt solution react with dilute hydrochloric acid to form a white precipitate of lead chloride. Transfer the precipitate into a centrifuge tube to separate it by centrifugation. Now, add a small quantity of distilled water to the precipitate and boil it for some time. The precipitate dissolves. Finally, we look at the confirmatory tests of lead-2 ion. Cool the solution. Materials required: solution obtained in the group analysis, test tube, water in a beaker. Procedure: take 1 part of the solution obtained in the group analysis in a test tube. Cool it by placing it in a beaker containing water. On cooling, lead chloride present in the solution undergoes crystallization to form white crystals. Potassium iodide test. Materials required: solution obtained in the group analysis, potassium iodide, test tube, and dropper. Procedure. Take 1 part of the solution obtained in the group analysis in a test tube. To this, add a small quantity of potassium iodide solution using a dropper. Let chloride present in the solution reacts with potassium iodide to form a yellow precipitate of lead iodide. Potassium chromate test. Materials required: solution obtained in the group analysis, potassium chromate, test tube, and dropper. Procedure. Take 1 part of the solution obtained in the group analysis in a test tube. To this, add a small quantity of potassium chromate solution using a dropper. Let chloride present in the solution reacts with potassium chromate to form a yellow precipitate of lead chromate. Precautions. Handle hydrochloric acid with proper care because it is highly hazardous. Heating should be done very carefully.